Can I start by saying thank you? It is with humility, and it's with pride, and it's with a great sense of duty that I accept the privilege and the great responsibility of leading our party and changing our country. I will endeavour to justify every day and in every act the trust that you have placed in me. Leadership is an awesome responsibility. So let me begin by personally thanking Tony Blair. He is a man who for 10 years has borne the burden of leadership of our country, and his leadership has made Britain stronger, more tolerant, more prosperous, and it has made Britain fairer. And let us never forget Tony's towering presence in the international community, his work in Africa, on climate change, his work to win the Olympics for Britain. Let us not forget the skills, determination, and patience he brought to bringing peace in Northern Ireland. And Tony, when all the history books are written, your achievements are unprecedented, they are historic, and I know that they are enduring. Thank you for what you have achieved. And let us also pay tribute to another leader of our party, Neil Kinnock, here with us in Manchester today. He led us out of the wilderness years, and he made it possible for us to forge New Labour. Neil Kinnock. And John Prescott, for his determination, his strength, his commitment to social justice, and a lifetime of standing up for working people. Let us again applaud John Prescott for what he has achieved. And let us also applaud every single one of the candidates in the deputy leadership contest. And we know today we have elected a worthy successor to John Prescott in Harriet Harman, who has already done so much to increase women's representation in Parliament. And as a South East MP, as a working mother herself, Harriet has more consistently than anyone understood the pressures on British families. And there is no one who has done more to campaign and deliver for childcare, for better work-life balance, for maternity and paternity rights, and for a Britain that values and celebrates families and family life. Now, this week, I will form a new government with new priorities to meet new challenges ahead. And having visited every part of Britain, and having listened to and learned from the British people, I've seen it firsthand, a Britain of rising aspirations. And I see the need for change to meet new needs. I've met parents in Newcastle wanting more help to balance work and family life. I've met teenagers in Lewisham wanting better chances of education after school, mothers in Basildon calling for better childcare, entrepreneurs in Warwickshire who value economic stability but want help to gain new business, young couples in every city of the country I've visited wanting to buy their first home and looking for us to help them, men and women who look to us to respond to their hopes for a better life for themselves and their children, and rising aspirations that are no longer just about a basic safety net and basic services, These are aspirations that are about higher standards tailored to people's individual needs. And you know, I've also seen, in fast-changing communities, the new insecurities that we know people feel. And I know we can make changes to address that too. In Liverpool and Cardiff, I've met pensioners wanting more police on the streets. Police in local communities in Birmingham and Glasgow calling for new action on drugs and antisocial behaviour. Men and women anxious about their jobs, the future, anxious about our way of life, and they are yearning for stronger communities in Britain. And we need to change too, to meet the new challenges: climate change, global competition, tackling extremism. And you know, we're learning an inescapable truth, that it's only by engaging people in the decisions that matter to their lives, only by a new government building trust, by involving the British people, that we as a country will meet the new challenges of 2007 and beyond. So as people's aspirations change, and as people's priorities are changing, we, the Labour Party, must renew ourselves as the party of change. Our mission has always been to be the party of progressive change in our country. Our party was born because of a demand for change. We became a governing party because we championed the need for economic and social change. We were reborn under Neil Kinnock, John Smith and Tony Blair because we believed that to change the country, we as a party had to change. And once again, we are called upon to be the party of change. And let me tell you the values that will guide me. I grew up in Kirkcaldy, the community I now represent in Parliament. I went to my local school. I was one of the people who were lucky enough to get to university. When at 16 I suffered an injury at rugby, I lost the sight in one eye, and I was fortunate to have the sight in the other saved because of the NHS. And it's for me a matter of fundamental principle that the best education and the best healthcare that I received should be there not only for me and my family, it should be there for all families in all parts of the country. And all I believe and all I try to do comes from the values that I grew up with: duty, honesty, hard work, family, respect for others. And this is what my parents taught me, and it will never leave me: that each and every one of us has a talent, that each and every one of us should have the chance to develop that talent, and that each of us should use whatever talents we have to enable people least able to help themselves. And so I say, honestly, I am a conviction politician. My conviction that everyone deserves a fair chance in life. My conviction that each of us has a responsibility to each other. My conviction that when the strong help the weak, it makes us all stronger. Now, call it the driving power of social conscience, call it the better angels of our nature, call it our moral sense, call it a belief in civic duty. I joined this party as a teenager because I believed in these values. They guide my work. They are my moral compass. This is who I am. And because these are the values of this party too, the party I lead must have more than a set of policies. We must have a soul. And whenever we find opportunity denied, aspirations unfilled, potential unrealized, whenever and wherever we find injustice, unfairness, there must we be also, and it is our duty to act. And that's why, after the Second World War, in place of fear, our party ensured the right to healthcare, creating the NHS. In place of slums, we created the right to decent housing. In the 1960s and 70s, in place of prejudice, social reform. In place of poverty in old age, new rights to pensions. And then in 1997, in place of unemployment, we implemented the vision of full employment. In place of neglect, we won the argument for investing in and reforming public services. And it's in this spirit of advancing economic progress and social justice that I wish to serve. And so we will build on what's gone right, and we will continue our successful reforms, and we'll learn from where we have not done well enough. And I have learned from the difficult decisions we had to make in economic policy that successful progress depends not on quick fixes, not on taking the easy or soft option. That is not the New Labour way. Success depends on having the strength to take the long-term course and the strength to see it through. And you know, if people think that we will achieve our goals in the future by retreating to failed approaches of the past, then they have not learned the lessons I have learned from the last few years. Take housing. Half a century ago, housing became a national priority, and there was a promise of a property-owning democracy, but then, unfortunately, it was just for a few. Now, in 2007, housing will be a priority. The Housing Minister will attend Cabinet. The Housing Minister will lead the national debate on new homes. And this time, because it is New Labour, the promise of a property-owning democracy must be open to all those wanting to get onto the housing ladder for the first time. And because we need to build new homes, not just to own but to rent, we will bring together the private sector, housing associations, yes, and local authorities too, to renew the promise of social housing for our communities. And by building new eco-towns and villages, we will show Labour, the party of aspiration, that new housing can respect our environment, and that by involving and engaging the British people in a national debate about the future of our housing, we can make affordable housing for all one of the great causes of our time. Our national mission is to be world-class in education. And we'll be world-class only if we build on our successes by mobilising and engaging the energies not just of teachers and parents, but of the whole community. And in the coming weeks, the Education Secretary will announce how, in support of world-class schools, we'll bring together business, universities, colleges, the voluntary sector, every secondary school, trusts, specialists or academies linked to a business, every school linked to a college or university. And step by step, we will raise investment in state school pupils, now £5,500, to today's level for private school pupils, £8,000 a year. And I want, not just for some boys and girls, but for every boy and girl, the right to education until 18. Reforms to ensure learning personal to their needs. For every young person, the offer of a college or university place, or apprenticeship or pre-apprenticeship courses as the route for everyone to a career. And so, from thousands of children benefiting from Sure Start, to thousands staying on to 18, I want for our young people the biggest expansion in educational opportunity our country has ever seen. And we'll be truly world-class in education only if we raise the aspirations of young people themselves. So we will launch a national campaign for thousands more to stay on after 16, to sign up to an apprenticeship, to study at university and college. And to those who say that more going to university must mean worse standards, let us reply, when in other countries 50% of all their young people already go to university, and in Britain only 40%, and just 10% from low-income backgrounds. Now is the time, and this is the task, to show education for what it is, what it was for me and so many others, what it must be in the future for more, the great liberating force of our generation. And let me say also that in the fourth richest country in the world, it is simply wrong. It's wrong that any child should grow up in poverty. And to address this poverty of income, but to address also the poverty of aspiration by better parenting, better schools, more one-to-one support, I want to bring together all the forces of compassion, charities, voluntary sector, local councils, so that at the heart of building a better Britain is the cause of ending child poverty in our generation. Now, I've spent a lot of time in the last 6 weeks talking to patients and doctors, nurses, NHS staff. And let me say what I've found. Every person I have met believes in the principles of our NHS. And I'm proud, like them, that in this generation, Britain will uphold an NHS, free at the point of use, available to all on the basis of need, not ability to pay. But I know also from everything I've seen going around the country and everything I've heard that we need to do better. And the NHS will be my immediate priority. We need to and will do better at ensuring access for patients at the hours that suit them. We'll be better at getting basics of food hygiene and cleanliness right. Better also at helping people to manage their own health. Better at ensuring patients are treated with dignity at all times in the NHS. Better at providing the wider range of services now needed by our growing elderly population. And while implementing our essential reforms, better at listening to and valuing our staff. And in the NHS, we'll also make progress by putting more power locally in the hands of patients and our staff. So I propose that as we approach the 60th anniversary of the NHS, we discuss a new settlement for a modern NHS free at the point of need, clear about where accountability lies, clear where government should set overall objectives, clear where it should not interfere, and clear how independently local people have their voice heard and acted upon in shaping the future of the NHS. And it's right that the party that created the NHS, that has always invested in the NHS, that has always believed in the NHS, we will be the party that for the coming generation renews the NHS. But today we also face new challenges. We face all the challenges that globalization brings. And you know what defines modern Britain is not just rising aspirations, but the rising aspirations of the people and the recognition that the world around us is fragile and it's uncertain. And for families who are insecure because they see their communities changing so fast around them. Elderly citizens I meet who are anxious about crime and the British way of life. People wanting us to respond not just to their hopes, but to answer their fears. I want us to put more power in the hands of the people to make the streets safe and secure. And let us implement the vision of the public informed and consulted, the police supported, and neighbourhood policing in every community of this country. I believe, as you know, in a British economy founded on dynamic, flexible markets and open competition. But you know, for workers undercut by employers in this country who break the law by paying less than the minimum wage, we will act. There will be new protection for vulnerable workers, and that's what I mean by safeguarding and advancing the British way of life. But we must also be far clearer in speaking up for the common ground upon which we stand, the shared values, the shared British values of liberty, civic duty, and fairness to all. And let us affirm that in return for opportunity for all, that we expect and demand from citizens responsibility from all, to learn English, to contribute to and respect the culture we build together. And not just the hard-working majority, but everyone must play by the rules. But let us also affirm that no matter your class, your colour, your creed, every individual citizen has the right to rise as far as your talents can take you. That is why our way of life is also to reject the prejudice, reject the discrimination practiced by those who preach xenophobia and racism. And advancing and protecting the British way of life means taking seriously also the stewardship of our environment and countryside, building stronger rural communities. And because it matters that people take personal responsibility themselves, we want all individuals, all businesses to join us and build a shared purpose to make Britain a world leader in tackling climate change. And just as we work with the European Union, America, and the rest of the world on global warming, we will also work with them to build the strongest multilateral response to all the security challenges we face. And in Iraq, which all of us accept has been a divisive issue for our party and our country, in Afghanistan and in the Middle East, we will meet our international obligations, we will learn lessons that need to be learned, and at all times be unyielding in support for our dedicated armed forces and resolute in our determination to take the tough decisions to ensure the long-term defence and security of our country. And our foreign policy in the years ahead will reflect the truth that to isolate and defeat terrorist extremism, it now involves more than military force. It is also a struggle of ideas and ideals that in the coming years will be waged and won for hearts and minds here at home and round the world. And an essential contribution to that will be what daily becomes more urgent, a Middle East settlement upholding a two-state solution that protects the security of Israel and the legitimate, enduring desire for a Palestinian state. And because we all want to address the roots of injustice, I can tell you today also that we will strengthen and enhance the work of the Department of International Development. We will align aid, debt and trade policies so that we can wage an unremitting battle against the poverty, illiteracy, disease and environmental degradation that it has fallen to our generation to now eradicate. And just as our policies must change, so too our party must change. And this time for change for our country must also be a time of renewal for our party. That's why I can announce to you that the new deputy leader will be the party chair. From today, not appointed by the leader, but elected by you, the party. And I can also announce that Douglas Alexander will be the general election coordinator, so that we are ready not just to fight, but to win a general election whenever the Prime Minister decides to call it. And all of us share a responsibility to ensure that in the coming years, the whole programme of our party is founded on listening to the aspirations of our whole country. You know, it means our membership reaching out to every local community. It means proper consultation by the leadership with every member. So that's why our National Executive will now consult with members on policy forums in every constituency, leading to a stronger national policy forum, better able to deal with the big issues of the day. And just as we have one member, one vote to choose our leader, we propose that the final decision on the party programme will be made also by one member, one vote. And it's time for a new and better relationship between government and the British people. Government the servant, more power in the hands of the people. That's why constitutional reform matters directly to me and to all of our people. Because all the big challenges we face, the environment, raising education standards, building better communities, all of them can only be met by directly involving and engaging the British people in the solution. And I tell you, the power of government can never substitute for the empowerment of the people. The days of Whitehall ever thinking it knows best are over. And we need government that does not overreach, but reaches out. Government as servant at all times, putting opportunity and power in the hands of people. Now that's why I want a new constitutional settlement for Britain. And the principles of my reforms are these. Government giving more power to Parliament. Both government and Parliament giving more power to the people. Parliament voting on all the major issues of our time, including peace and war, and civil liberties safeguarded and enhanced. Devolution within a union of nations, England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland, a union that I believe in, and it is for this party and this government to defend. And I want to see local government strengthened with new powers, local communities empowered to hold those who make decisions to account, community ownership of assets, greater power for more people to control their lives, government putting our trust in people, and we will renew people's trust in government. And our local democracy strengthened by citizens' forums and new citizens' juries, where citizens and their representatives have the chance to fully debate the concerns that matter to them. And I've learned something else over the last few weeks about how we can change our country, how we can build a progressive consensus. You know, in the last 10 years, from Make Poverty History to campaigns on disability, on gay rights, on the environment, Britain has changed for the better, not just because of government, but because of movements that have often gone beyond traditional parties. They've captured people's imaginations and they have transformed people's lives. And as a party, we've always known that we succeed best when we reach out to and engage the whole community. So here I stand, proud of our Labour Party, but determined that we reach out to all people who can be persuaded to share our values and who would like to be part of building a more just society. So my message today is also to people who want to change from the old politics, who yearn for a public life founded on values, who are inspired by what we as a nation can achieve together. And I say to them, join us. Join us in building the Britain that we believe in. And don't let anyone tell you that the choice at the next election will be change with other parties and no change with Labour. Because when I take office on Wednesday, I will, as our party has always done, heed and lead the call of change. So for those young people wanting their first step on the housing ladder, we will meet the challenge of change. For families wanting their sons and daughters to go to college or university, we will meet the challenge of change. For parents wanting affordable childcare, we will meet the challenge of change. For families and pensioners who want an NHS that is there when they need it, only we can meet the challenge of change. For people wanting a stronger democracy, we will meet the challenge of change. And we will govern for all the people of our country. This week marks a new start, a chance to renew. And I say to the people of this country, the government I lead belongs to you. I will work hard for you. I shall try my utmost. I am ready to serve.